All right, what do we have on the menu today? What do we have on the menu? Ooh, another joke. Take a look at this joke. Did you see this? I posted it on Facebook and Instagram. I usually post all these kind of memes, jokes on Facebook and Instagram. So, if you want to follow me on one of those platforms, or both, you're more than welcome to. Okay, now this joke is a bit more challenging maybe than usual. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you get this joke. But you might need me to explain it a little bit. So I'm going to explain it in this lesson. Okay, so let's just take a look at it. Okay, what do you see? Well, the first thing you see is some plants in front of a window. One of the plants, the plant in the middle, says, "Enjoy the sunshine while you can. Eventually, we all end up in a recipe." Okay, so this middle plant is telling the other plants. He's talking to the other plants. Enjoy the sunshine while you can, because eventually we all end up in a recipe. Okay, so a recipe is like something you cook. You cook a recipe. What's your favorite recipe? My favorite recipe? Boy, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I love lasagna. Do you love lasagna? I don't know how to cook lasagna. I have made lasagna. A few years ago, I made lasagna once or twice, and it was great. But let me know what your favorite recipe is to cook. Okay, so underneath these plants, it says sage advice. Okay, sage advice. Now, you might not understand this, and the reason you don't understand this joke is because it requires pretty advanced vocabulary. Maybe not advanced, it's just sort of a special area of vocabulary. Okay, look at these plants. What kind of plants are they? Well, they are herbs. They're herbs. Okay, herbs are plants, usually small plants, that are used in cooking recipes. You know, like lasagna. If you cook lasagna, you might use herbs like oregano, basil, thyme. I don't know. Okay, so these are herbs. Now, some people pronounce the word herb with an H, and some people pronounce it without an H. Okay, herb and herb. Herb, herb. Which one do you prefer? You can choose. It's just a difference. Some people in English and different parts of the world say it with an H. Some people say it without an H. Well, let me know which one you prefer. I don't know. It's the same with herbal tea. Some people say herbal tea. Some people say herbal tea. Right? An example of a herbal tea is like blueberry tea or mint tea. Okay, usually tea with caffeine is not considered a herbal tea. You know, if you drink like normal black tea, like orange pekoe tea or English breakfast tea, usually that's not really considered a herbal tea because that's normal tea. Usually black tea is normal tea, and other kind of tea like mint tea or thyme, those ones are herbal teas. So the reason I said this is advanced is because most English learners don't know the names of spices. I mean, tell me honestly, do you know the names of the different spices in English? I think most people, when they start learning English, their goal isn't to learn the names of spices. You know, they might want to learn words about, I don't know, about shopping or about money or about business, politics, you know, words that help them in their life, right? Most people, it doesn't really help them if they know the names of the herbs. Unless they're a cook. Hey, if you're a cook, that's awesome. Then you probably know the names of the different herbs. That's why this is hard to understand, okay? So if you don't understand this joke, it's because these names of herbs are a bit tricky. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to take a look at them. Okay, so see the sign underneath the plants? It says sage advice. Now, sage is the name of a herb. Okay, that's sage. Right? So this plant in the middle is the sage giving the advice to the other plants. But sage also has another meaning, which makes this word a pun. Remember, a word that has more than one meaning is called a pun. So the word sage is a pun. Sage advice also means wise advice. wise advice. Like, for example, if I tell you, you should save money while you're young. Hey, while you're young, you should invest money because then when you get older, the interest will compound and you'll be rich, later on in life. So you should invest money while you're young. That would be sage advice. That means wise advice, good advice. The sage plant is giving good advice to the other plants, right? Enjoy the sun while you can, because eventually we all end up in a recipe. Okay, so that's the sage advice. That's the double meaning. The plant is called sage, and it's wise advice. Okay, actually the word sage can also be a noun. A sage is a person who is very wise, sort of like a wise guru, or I don't know, a wise teacher. They're called a sage. So that's the first part of the joke. Now, the joke also has a second part underneath it, and let's take a look at that. Okay, it says, Rosemary thought this sage pun was a long time coming. Okay, Rosemary thought this sage pun was a long time coming. Okay, so here we have a bunch more puns. Okay, so rosemary is the name of a herb. Okay, so one of these plants up here, it might be rosemary. All right, but rosemary is also a woman's name. It's I wouldn't say it's a common name. I think it used to be more common, maybe 50 years ago or 100 years ago. That was maybe a more common name for a woman. These days, I don't think rosemary, I don't know anybody, these days, my age, named Rosemary. So it's a bit of a rare name now, but it's a name. Okay, so it's important to understand, it's important to be familiar with English names. So what is it? It's a name and it's a herb. Okay, so rosemary thought this sage pun was a long time coming. Okay, now you can see there, time is spelt a bit weird, right? It's because it's also a herb. Thyme is a kind of herb, they use thyme a lot in like Italian cooking, for example. Like if you make, I don't know, pasta or pizza or lasagna, you probably put some thyme in there. Okay, and cumin, also pronounced cumin, is the name of another spice. So a spice and a herb are kind of the same. I don't really know what's the difference between a herb and a spice. If you know, let me know down there. Okay, but cumin or cumin is the name of a spice. So what this sounds like is the sage pun was a long time coming. That means it, we wanted it to come sooner. So it's been a long time coming. It means people were waiting for it to happen, right? See this pun here? People were waiting for it. We'd say it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. Time and cumin are two puns, again, two puns back to back, right? You can tell they're spelled differently, but when any native English speaker reads this, they know it's a joke because, well, this just is, right? Time means like the time, right? It's the time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that kind of time. And cumin, like I said, is it sounds like coming, right? It's been a long time coming. Some people say cumin, some people say cumin. Okay, so these spices can be pronounced different ways. So that's the joke. The joke is you need to understand these different names for the herbs and spices. Hey, I have some homework for you. I want you to think of your favorite recipe, okay? And think about which herbs and spices you use to make that. And then look up the English name for those spices and let me know down in the comments what spices you use to make your food. There are lots of spices around the world that we don't use in Western cooking. For example, saffron. What is saffron? I know what it is, but I've never used it in cooking. I don't think people use saffron in Western cooking. I think they use it a lot in the Middle East. Right? If you go to a country like Iran, you will find saffron. If you're from the Middle East, let me know down in the comments, what is saffron? Why do people use it? Does it have certain health benefits? Does it have a good flavor? I don't even know what it tastes like. I don't know what it contributes, but that's an example. So I want to learn from you. What spices, I might not know all the English names for the spices either. And you probably don't know all of them either. So that's why you should do some homework to teach me and to teach yourself. We can all learn together. We can learn more about this, about herbs, spices, and cooking. But let me know your homework down there. And hey, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are. And I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.